Hello everybody. Welcome back. My name is IHateMagpie. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be reading Gurgles and Bugman from r/No Sleep. This is a scary story written by Won't Think Straight in January of 2012, 13 years ago. I am reading this because I felt like reading a spooky story. Before we get into it, everybody, please make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. It helps me out a ton and I would really appreciate it. We got some big goals this year and we're trying to hit those, so please do that. It'll help out a lot. But anyways, let's get right into it. Gurgles and Bugman. After my last experience, my parents reminded me of another story from my childhood. When you're 5, your mind lacks the experience to make informed judgments or connect things which aren't obvious. Over the years, the details get fuzzy and forgotten. Speaking with my parents the other day, they cleared the cobwebs burying this story. I remember now, much too clearly, the story of Gurgles and Bugman. I just started kindergarten that year. Everyone's a friend when you're 5, so I had no shortage of classmates. But coming from a poor family, I didn't get to see much of them outside of school. My parents spent all their waking hours trying to make ends meet and didn't have time to ferry me from house to house. So I spent my early years mostly keeping to myself, playing with the random assortment of knickknacks from the shelf in my room. Being short of money gave my family a habit of hoarding, so they hated to throw anything out. One particular item on the shelf was a small old-fashioned TV set, a wooden veneer box about 2 feet wide by a foot tall. It had a curved glass screen that took up half the front panel. Beside the screen was a large chrome dial used to switch channels. At the top sat an antenna formed by 2 terribly twisted wires. I feel like everybody had that like super old ass shitty TV in their room. Like I remember I had this like VHS TV that was in my room, and we had like a couple of VHSs, and me and my brother, we would always watch like The Lion King or Alice in Wonderland. Those were like the 2 movies that we always watched. When my boredom made me turn it on, I'd usually just get static and snow on the glowing black and white screen. I'd twist the heavy clicking dials, hoping to pick up some local broadcasts. Mostly, it would be some ghostly images and incoherent sound fragments, but one channel was always crystal clear. It was the Gurgles and Bugman show. Gurgles was a clown, but not a common one. He wore a thin black suit that draped his tall, skinny body with a matching tie and oversized novelty clown shoes to complete his distinctive outfit. His pupils were completely black, like polished ebony marbles, with no trace of white around them. Black face paint around those eyes and across his cheeks and mouth made him look like a maniac, grinning skeleton. It was only the crazy crop of curly hair sprouting off the sides of his head that gave him a more human look. As much as Gurgles freaked me out, Bugman scared me more. He was short and round, like a hunchback dwarf. With a dark cape, he had prosthetics covering his eyes to make him look like a fly, and a mouth that was rotated 90 degrees and open from side to side. The show itself was like candid camera, with pranks played on unsuspecting people. It would always start with Gurgles and Bugman hidden away at someone's home. Gurgles would face the camera staring at you, his bony finger touching his lips. When the unsuspecting star of the show came into view, a laugh track would begin to play. You would see them go about their nightly routines, oblivious to the conspiracy that Gurgles and Bugman had involved us in. We'd see them making dinner, or in the lounge watching TV with their family, or quietly doing their homework, then watch as Gurgles and Bugman stole their pen, or moved their glass, or made things disappear behind their backs. The camera angles would change as Gurgles and Bugman shifted their hiding place from the dark corners of the room to the cupboards, to the ceiling, and under the furniture, all the while looking back at you and winking. The closer they got, the louder and more laughter from the soundtrack. Eventually, when everybody went to sleep, a victim would be chosen for their prank. Waiting in the closet or under the bed, once their victim fell asleep, Bugman would crawl out and gently climb in beside them. His jaw would open sideways, and out would come a sharp straw that he would stick the person's neck. This always paralyzed their victim, because sometimes you could see them struggle if they woke and saw Gurgles and Bugman on top of them. The laugh track would then be extra loud and uproarious those few times the victims awoke. Gurgles would make faces at the camera while the audience laughed, and Bugman would use his straw to drink from the person's neck. When the victim stopped struggling after a few minutes, and laughter would turn to claps and cheering. With Bugman finished, Gurgles' face would fill the whole screen with his impossibly wide, sharp-toothed grin. Then he'd whisper, "See you again soon." The way those all-black eyes pierced through the screen always gave me chills. I hated the show, but would be always too afraid to go near the TV while it was running. One day, the TV mysteriously disappeared from my room. My parents told my 5-year-old self that they sold it to pay some bills. I accepted that without question. I was kinda glad it was gone. But yesterday, when I asked them about that TV again, they exchanged nervous glances and filled in some missing gaps from my childhood. Halfway through that year, Derek, a classmate I didn't know very well, had died in horrific circumstances. He was murdered in his bed with a stab wound to the neck. No evidence of a break-in was ever found, so his distraught parents were taken into custody as the primary suspect. They denied all the allegations against them. At the time, Miss Nolan, my teacher, told our class I'd apparently explained to her that Derek couldn't be dead because I saw him on his family on the Gurgles and Bugman show the day before. When Miss Nolan mentioned to my parents what I'd said, they had immediately taken the TV from my room, driven it to a junkyard, and had it burned to nothing but ashes and molten metal. That TV was in my room because it had always been broken. It was never plugged in the whole time it sat on my shelf. Whatever I saw on that screen, it wasn't from a station. So that's my story of Gurgles and Bugman, but I'm not sure if that's really the end though. After all, do Gurgles and Bugman still perform their nightly show for some unsuspecting viewer somewhere in the world? And if so, who will be the next star? Damn. That was kind of a wild ending. He saw his fucking friend get murdered by Bugman in the middle of the night, cold blood. TV's not even plugged in. They were streaming that shit to his TV via Wi-Fi. Now, that was actually a good story, though. This might be a new thing I do on this channel and just kind of read these stories every once in a while. That one, on a scary scale, I would say probably like, I don't know, maybe a 6 out of 10. Like, it was a cool idea. I liked the story. It was dope, but like, it wasn't really scary. Like, I've read a couple of these no sleep stories that have kept me up at night. Anyways, thank you everybody for stopping by. I appreciate it. You guys all have a good day. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys know any good r/no sleep stories, drop them in the comments. Anyways, you guys have a good day, and I will see you all later. Peace.